If you have ever bought something and it didn't fit or it didn't work, or for whatever reason you needed to take it back, it is such a huge hassle. It is a particularly large hassle if you ordered it online and you can't just swing by, and drop it off again. You might have to repackage it and get a return label, drop it off at a pickup point, something like that. Some companies are seeing what a hassle this is for customers and seeing what a hassle it is for themselves and offering something called returnless refunds, which sounds like a bit of an oxymoron. But we're going to talk about what this trend is. Our guest is Kyle James. He is the founder of ratherbeshopping.com, and he joins us from Redding, California, which he tells me is near the Oregon border. Hello there, Kyle.
Hey, Bruce, thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
What does this phrase actually mean? Returnless refunds.
Yeah, so I noticed about a year or two ago that Amazon in particular, when I would try to make a return, they would tell me, you know what, go ahead and keep it and we're going to refund the money. I'm like, well, that's really bizarre. And as time has gone on, I noticed some other retailers doing this. And from the retailer standpoint, if it's something that's small, that maybe I kind of found the secret sauce, something that under 20 bucks, maybe something that you tried and it just didn't work out. It could be clothing. It could be, for me, in my example, some tools or some things for my garage, and well, sometimes liquids like oils or
Right.
lubricants, things like that you might try out. Well, they're going to say, hey, you know what? In many cases, they can't put that stuff back on quote unquote the shelf to sell. They're gonna have to send it off to liquidation. And so they realize that, hey, let's let the consumer, the shopper keep this, kind of some goodwill customer service. And we're not gonna have to pay to have them send it back and then just to send it off to liquidations. And so I think that's kind of where it comes from originally. And I think other retailers have really picked on to what Amazon's been doing. And I've noticed this trend growing quite a bit the last year or so.
How did you think they think through the economics of this? Because sure, on the onesies and twosies, it saves hassle, it saves cost, but you wouldn't want to be in a situation where a consumer just kind of took it for granted that they could buy something for under 20 bucks, take off the calf, sniff it, and then decide they didn't want it anymore.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it started during COVID, like health reasons. They didn't want something that had been opened, something that had been handled quite a bit, and so I think that's really when the trend took off. And I don't think it's a guy sitting behind the computer going, "Oh, you know what? Have them send that back. No, no, have them keep that." And making these decisions one by one. It's kind of in this AI algorithm, right, where all your orders are in there, and it automatically, has a system in place that says, okay, we don't want that back. Okay, yeah, we need that back. We can resell it for a certain amount of money. And I've also noticed it's big, bulky things. It happened to me once with a big storage container. I bought one too many, and I contacted Amazon. The thing was like 25 bucks, but it was huge. And so they know you're gonna put it in a big box and send it back. Said, you know what, go ahead and keep that. We're gonna refund you anyways. And so I've noticed. And another one that's really interesting, and this one is just pure customer service, is Chewy.com. They specialize in pet food, pet supplies. They've actually made it part of their official policy. And I even think they might even say it on their website that, hey, if you buy a 40-pound bag of dog food and your dog rejects it, doesn't like it, you're going to be able to keep it. And they want you to donate it to an animal shelter or give it to a friend. And then they're going to send you another bag for free. I thought, wow, that's
Retailers shout from the rooftops about the cost of shrinkage. So typically this is a bricks and mortar retailer who has a shoplifting issue, and they'll say to consumers, listen, because of this phenomenon, you're paying more for stuff because we have to offset the shrinkage that we see. This would seem to be very similar. So while in the moment you're like, woo, I got free dog food that I can give to my neighbor, surely we should also be taking that to the next step and thinking, well, we're paying for it somewhere.
yeah. And I think Chewy is a little bit more expensive than buying your dog food at Costco or even some of your Petco's, PetSmarts, you kind of think are more expensive. Like Chewy might be a little bit more expensive than that. But my thing is, okay, if you can't game the system to try and get free stuff. You're going to end up being disappointed 9 out of 10 times. But what you can do is I like, you're shopping online, I like to do a quick price comparison. So if I'm dealing with 2 or 3 websites and one of them is known to do this, well, it just makes sense to go to that website on the off chance that I have to return it. Well, heck, there's a good chance they're going to let me keep it. And so that's kind of where I think shoppers can use this information to their advantage to actually end up getting some free stuff and taking advantage of some of these policies. And so that's kind of the best way to kind of use this information to help the average shopper.
Okay, we're not going to game the system, and I'm going to ask you for some tips. Listen, on balance, I would way rather have them give me the thing and let me keep it rather than, walk it or drive it over to a store with a new label slapped on it. Is there anything that you could provide by way of tips to up the probability of a returnless refund?
Yeah, so I think the secret sauce is things that are under $20, low value things, home goods. I had apparel. I had this happen with a hoodie I bought my daughter. She wore it once. It was too tight. I contacted Amazon. They told me to keep it. I noticed it with tools, things you might use, and they just don't fit, and they'll let you keep those in many cases. Anything that's liquid, I've noticed that they're more likely to keep, let you keep, because they realize, okay, they open this up, they're probably going to send it back. They're not going to store it properly. It's going to get all over the box, and it's going to leak everywhere. They don't let you keep a lot of that stuff. And like I was saying, bulky things. So big items that are not necessarily heavy, but require a big box to send back. In many cases, they're going to let you keep those. So those are kind of the secret items that this is more likely to happen with.
Do you think you can be proactive on this as an option? Like in the chat bot, can you say, hey, thanks for sending me the mailing label, but what if I just keep it? Or is that, just ridiculous?
I think that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think most times
I'm very charming. I'm very, very charming.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
not
I
to an
said,
AI
it's
bot,
typically
but a human.
yeah, it's typically predetermined. So you can start a live chat, but in most cases, the customer service operator is not going to have the authority to let you keep it. So a lot of times it's all predetermined ahead of time.
A colleague of mine received something from an online retailer, and there was a piece that was broken, lots of drama on trying to get the new piece. And in the end, she got to keep a $1,200 desk because it was just too onerous for her to, from their perspective, for her to ship it back. I know you said under $20, but have you seen or heard of this for higher value goods too?
Not so much with the kind of the refundless return, but what I have heard it for is Amazon. They're sending millions of items every day, and so many cases I've had this happen to me. I had a big box show up at my doorstep. I'm like, what is this? I don't remember ordering anything. Open it up. It was like a $400 comforter set that I had never ordered, and that's happening more and more. And so I contacted Amazon. They said, oh, keep it. We can't even process a refund because we don't have that in our system. Keep it, donate it, give it to a friend, use it. That's happened to me a couple times, and that's a trend that's going on quite a bit right now.
What do you make of that? Is someone like present bombing you or something? Where does it come from?
Yeah. So originally I thought, okay, maybe this is some sort of a scam, and I contacted Amazon and said, yeah, you know what? Happens more than you think, and keep the item. It's happened to me 3 or 4 times where I've got something wrong. I had no idea. I didn't order this. Nobody in my family ordered it. And Amazon doesn't want it back. They tell you to keep it and use it or donate it.
Wow. There seems like, the two sides of waste here, because you keep it, so maybe you can give it to someone who can use it. If you were to ship it back, as you say, they don't really have a way to get rid of that. There's a whole incremental cost to send it to a liquidator. So is this actually and perversely the better choice from an environmental standpoint?
I think in many cases it is, because you can donate it and give it to somebody. A lot of times you send it back. Yeah, they might send it to a liquidator. It might end up in a landfill somewhere. So in many cases, if you can use it or give it to somebody that can use it, I think it does make more sense environmentally. So
Interesting.
and
All right. Go ahead.
retailers, it builds nice customer service. I mean, heck, if this happened to you, wouldn't you be like, oh wow, that's really cool. They let me keep it, and it just builds good customer service. You're going to more likely to go back and shop at that retailer again when they let you keep something for free, right?
This is a world that you follow closely. This was a new phrase for me. Is there another trend top of mind for you today that I should just know about so I sound cool when I go to my next cocktail event?
Well, I got a bunch of them. The kind of the one that ties into this is retailers are, and it's kind of the exact opposite of this. Retailers are really cracking down on people that return stuff that are trying to kind of game the system. So either they're the one that really jumps to mind here in California. There's a lot of theft going on. There's a lot of times people will go into a store, steal a bunch of stuff, and come back and try and return it for cash. And so with that happening, a lot of stores are limiting, like you can only make like three returns like a month with no receipt. And typically when you have no receipt, they ask for your ID. So they're tracking all of your returns. And so there's a lot of stores that are starting to ban people from returns. And a lot of times it's people that don't even realize it. I mean, REI is kind of the famous one. They had this great return policy, return anything for any reason at any time. People started gaming it. They started basically using REI as a rental. They go in and buy a bunch of stuff, go on a backpacking trip, come back, and go in and return it all. And REI is like, oh my gosh, we can't keep doing this. And so just last year, I did a story with CBS in Denver. A gal, right out of the blue, got an email from REI saying, we're no longer accepting any returns from you. And it was kind of interesting. I looked back through all of her returns, and she returned about 20% of the stuff she had bought. And it was she had bought about $10,000 worth of stuff over about a 10-year period. And the email came out of the blue. There was no like, okay, we're going to put you on a probationary period. It was like, okay, we're done accepting returns from you. And I think more stores are starting to do this. So, it's just important for shoppers to be aware that, okay, I can make returns, but I can't go out and buy stuff, wear it, and then bring it back and expect a full return. And stores are realizing, okay, we can't do that. It's not a good business model.
I love how we have to be emphatic and direct about something as commonsensical as that. Kyle, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Kyle James, founder of ratherbeshopping.com. He was here to talk about this trend in the online world of something called refundless returns.